In the beginning of the film, we are introduced to Becky, the main character of the story. She is brought to a house where she meets a couple who are going to be her stepmom and dad. They are planning to adopt Becky today, which is why she was brought here. As we look at Becky's face, it is apparent that she has changed because she is smiling a lot, but there is something hidden behind her smile. Her stepmom and dad are also very happy to see Becky. She has come to this new house with her dog. At night, her mom and dad call her to the table for dinner. They start saying that from today they will educate her and take good care of her livelihood. Upon hearing this, Becky praises them, saying that she is very happy to come to them. Her mom and dad are also pleased. While they start eating, Becky suggests that they pray before eating. This impresses her mom and dad greatly. They think that Becky is a very nice and decent girl, trying to portray herself as cute and innocent. However, she is not as innocent as she appears. Becky is given a room where she can sleep comfortably. When her mom comes to say goodnight to her and leave, Becky calls her back. This makes her mom feel good, and she leaves happily. After her mom leaves, Becky's smile suddenly changes, and she becomes very serious. She takes her dog and runs away from the house. She continues to be adopted by different families and keeps running away because she is accustomed to such reverse behavior. One day, she meets an old woman who becomes friends with Becky, and Becky starts living in her house because the woman adopts her. Eventually, Becky starts working in a hotel and tells us that one day a group of Nazi terrorists attacked her house and killed her mom and dad. They were searching for a secret key that was hidden in their house, and now Becky possesses it. After killing her parents, they also imprisoned her, but she managed to escape by killing them. Later, it is shown that Becky is still ready to fight and undergoes intense training in the jungle. Becky sets up traps in the jungle near the house of the old woman who adopted her to prevent anyone from entering. She sits down to eat with the old woman, but the woman does not love Becky and keeps her out of a sense of helplessness. Becky asks her why she never asked for her name, to which the woman replies that she adopted Becky because she had no one else to take care of her and had no expectations. The woman's indifference and lack of interest in knowing Becky's background and identity disappoint her. Becky goes to the hotel where she works as a waitress. She uses the money she earns to take care of the woman and her dog. While working, a man calls her sweetheart, which she finds strange. She promptly corrects him, asking to be called by her name, Becky, and insists on being spoken to politely. The man feels insulted and starts speaking rudely to Becky. Although she feels the urge to harm him, she controls her anger and leaves. Back at home, she plays games with the old woman at night and asks her how she ended up so alone. The woman recounts her past, mentioning that 3 of her 4 brothers have died, and the surviving brother does not care about her. She left her home at 15 due to the constant fighting and quarrels. The woman informs Becky to stay alert because a terrorist group has entered the city and intends to cause destruction. The next day, 3 boys with a Nazi flag on their car arrive at the hotel where Becky works. They order Becky and start teasing her, making fun of her and mocking her parents. Although Becky grows increasingly angry, she maintains control over herself. She overhears them discussing a man named Daryl, who has brought them together for a specific task. The worst of the 3 behaves rudely, demanding coffee. Becky, already angered by his behavior, intentionally spills the coffee on him, provoking his anger. She stands up for herself and speaks back to them, not feeling bad about it. She apologizes sarcastically, saying it was a mistake, and then she leaves. A strange smile appears on her face, and the bad man realizes that Becky did it deliberately to seek revenge for their earlier insults. That's why he stopped outside the hotel and started waiting for her to leave so that he could teach her a lesson. When Becky got to leave, she started going home with her cycle, and when the 3 of them saw her going, they started following her. At night, Becky started looking at the key in her hand while getting ready to sleep. Suddenly, there was a sound of breaking glass in the house, as if someone had broken the window and entered. Hearing the sound, she went downstairs to check, but there was no one there. However, in the meantime, that bad man came from behind and grabbed her, covering her face tightly. In her defense, Becky hit the back of her head, causing the man's nose to bleed. Then, the other boy threw a gun at her and said, "Stay calm. There's no need to make any noise." Seeing this, Becky's dog stepped forward to attack, but he was killed by the other boy with a baseball bat, causing Becky to lose consciousness. Afterward, He threw a gun at Becky and started tormenting her, saying that he would take his revenge today. However, the old woman arrived with a gun from behind and threw it at him, commanding him to put his gun down and leave her house. She told him to get lost from there. The boy reluctantly put the gun down, but the worst man was very angry. He picked up the gun and shot the old woman, killing her. Witnessing this, Becky became very scared and started screaming loudly. She tried to attack them, but the bad man slapped her and pushed her aside. Becky hit a nearby object, fell down, and lost consciousness. The next morning, when she woke up, she was devastated to see the old woman dead. She was a good woman who had taken care of Becky like her own daughter. This made Becky think of her father, who had also cared for her before he was killed by the terrorists. She mourned the loss of the old woman and thought about her dog, realizing that the bad people had taken it with them. Filled with anger, Becky screamed louder and vowed to take revenge on those people. The 3 boys arrived at Daryl's house, who had called them for a job. Among these 3 boys, one was good and had distanced himself from such activities. He stayed with them simply because he was their friend. He tried to reason with them, telling them that what they had done was very wrong. He warned them that they would suffer the consequences of their actions. The bad man, holding him by the neck, responded that they were all equally guilty and threatened him not to speak a word to Daryl, or they would face dire consequences. Becky went to the old woman's room and started going through her belongings. She found some pictures of the woman with her husband and brothers, which made her feel sorrowful. Becky buried the woman's body in the backyard and placed flowers on her grave. She swore to take revenge for her death and set up traps to ensnare the bad people and teach them a lesson. She wore red-colored clothes, her favorite color, and resumed her training. She began searching for information about Daryl, as the 3 boys had mentioned him. She discovered that there were only 2 people named Daryl in the city, and she decided to visit the first one, who turned out to be an old woman. Becky asked her if her name was Daryl, to which she replied affirmatively but said she had no business with her. The old woman confirmed that no 3 people had come to meet her. She lived here alone. After hearing this, Becky understands that it must be another Daryl. When she reached near his house by the lake, she saw a Nazi flag there and realized that this is the real Daryl, as she believed that Nazis were terrorists. Her intuition proved correct when she entered the house and found Daryl with his group of people. They were dangerous terrorists. Daryl suggested they eat first and talk later, and everyone agreed. He provided them with food, and they all ate well. Becky noticed that the decent boy seemed worried and didn't eat. Daryl asked him what was wrong and why he wasn't eating, but he replied that he simply didn't feel like eating. All the people in the group referred to Daryl as Sir, but he corrected them, saying he was not a servant, but a decent man. His words confirmed that they were a terrorist group conspiring against the government and planning something significant. Daryl was their leader. Daryl noticed Becky's dog, which they had kept locked in a cage, and asked the 3 why they had brought the dog. The bad man explained that the dog belonged to a girl they wanted to seek revenge on, so they brought her dog to teach her a lesson for interfering with them. Becky, who had been listening carefully, left through the back door and entered a room by opening the window. On the table, she found numerous files that made her realize the terrorist group's plan to carry out explosions. She took pictures of the files and continued her investigation. When the decent boy went to the washroom, Daryl started following him. The educated boy, sensing that they were hiding something, confronted Daryl and demanded the truth about what they had done and were hiding from him. However, Daryl insisted that nothing was amiss and began taking him to his room. Unbeknownst to them, Becky hid under the bed, listening to their conversation. Daryl showed the boy a file and revealed their plan. He inserted a pen drive into the laptop and shared secret information, stating that they had received orders from higher authorities to spread terror and create explosions throughout the city. Now, after listening to all this, Becky was very surprised. She sat down at the laptop herself and examined the information on the pen drive, learning more about the terrorists' plan. Realizing its potential usefulness, she decided to steal the pen drive and make her escape. She headed straight to their shed, where she found a variety of weapons and tools that she kept for her own protection. Among them were guns and bombs. Equipped with everything, Becky left the shed. Once outside, she rang the doorbell. When Daryl came out to check, he found no one there except for a phone lying near his leg. As he picked it up, he received a call from Becky, whose name was displayed on the phone. Surprised, Daryl entered the house and asked his companions who Becky was and what her intentions were. They explained that Becky was the girl who had been interfering with their plans. Daryl answered the call and asked Becky what she wanted. She replied that she wanted nothing special but mentioned that she had the pen drive. If he wanted it back, she demanded that he hand over her dog without causing any trouble. Daryl was taken aback by how Becky acquired the pen drive. He realized she must have stolen it while she was inside the house. Worried about the potential problems it could cause, Daryl speculated that Becky was somewhere nearby. One of the members of the group assured Daryl that Becky was likely close by, suggesting that he should go out and talk to her. Upon stepping outside, he spotted Becky and began following her. However, he surprised her by pointing a gun at her from behind and warning her about the consequences of messing with him. In an attempt to trap him, she lured him towards a car, causing him to stumble and fall. His gun was left outside, which Becky picked up and aimed at him, gagged him with tape. She then attached a bomb to his mouth using the tape, securing the bomb pin with a thread tied to the door where his companions were located. After cutting the thread, she severed the door, causing Daryl to come out. As the door opened, the bomb pin was pulled out, resulting in an explosion that killed the other member of the group. Witnessing this, Daryl and his remaining companion were shocked by Becky's actions. They realized she was not an ordinary girl, but a dangerous individual with sinister intentions and a mastermind. It became apparent that she posed a threat to them as well. In his anger, Daryl interrogated the remaining two members, demanding to know the truth about their other actions. The decent boy among them confessed and revealed that his two companions had killed an elderly woman who was likely Becky's grandmother. Becky had come to seek revenge for her grandmother's death. He expressed his intention to leave and inform the police about what they had done, acknowledging the profound wrongdoing committed against the old woman. Although all those people were refusing to do so, Daryl was not willing to listen to anyone. Frustrated, he approached him and violently struck his head, causing his neck bones to break and resulting in his death. Becky called Daryl again, reiterating that he needed to return her dog if he wanted the pen drive. One of Daryl's men became extremely angry upon hearing this and went outside, loudly proclaiming that Becky's death was certain and that he would not spare her. Meanwhile, Becky, sitting at a distance, held an arrow in her hand and launched a direct attack on the enraged man. The arrow pierced through his mouth, causing immense pain but not killing him. Reacting swiftly, Daryl removed the arrow and the man began to bleed profusely, further fueling his anger. Daryl tried to reason with him, assuring him that he would capture Becky, but the man refused to listen and stormed out to seek revenge. Becky intentionally crossed paths with the vengeful man and he started chasing her. As they ran, Becky maneuvered and led him to a specific location. Seizing the opportunity, Daryl captured the remaining third member of the group who was hiding. Daryl expressed his anger towards them, blaming them for the events that had unfolded. The man complied and fled in a car, wanting to avoid further involvement in the situation. The man who pursued Becky caught up to her and subjected her to severe beatings. However, Becky retaliated by throwing a bomb at him from below, causing him to cough and struggle for breath. He eventually succumbed and emerged from the area. Becky followed behind him as the old man pleaded for forgiveness, citing his family and young children. At first, Becky considered sparing him, but then she remembered that he was a Nazi who had shown no mercy towards her own family, having killed her parents. Driven by the desire to seek justice for her family, Becky attacked the man with a dagger, repeatedly striking and dismembering him in a gruesome manner, resulting in his horrific death. His blood splattered onto Becky, leaving her covered in it. After killing him, regained consciousness. When Becky opened her eyes, she found herself tied to a chair with Daryl sitting in front of her. He tells her, "You don't know who we are. You've messed with the wrong person." As he says this, he displays all of Becky's belongings that he had discovered. He then adds, "If you tell me where the pen drive is, I will let you and your dog go." Becky refuses, stating that she won't help a terrorist like him. Just then, the elderly woman named ER, in whose house Becky had initially sought refuge, arrives at the scene. Upon seeing her, Becky was quite shocked because she perceived the old woman as a decent person. The old woman is also with them. Here, the old woman tells Becky that Daryl is her son and that she named him after herself. Both mother and son share the same name. Later, they bring out Becky's dog and threaten to kill him. They say, "If you want to save him, give us the pen drive." Reluctantly, Becky agrees to give them the pen drive in exchange for her dog's safety. Unbeknownst to them, Becky has a secret plan behind her compliance. As they celebrate, unaware of Becky's true identity, both the son and the mother feel triumphant. At this point, it is revealed that Becky has freed herself from the ropes. Daryl approaches her, but she kicks him away, causing him to stumble. Becky then sprays a substance into his eyes, causing a burning sensation. Daryl rushes to the washroom to wash his eyes, giving Becky an opportunity. Daryl's mom points her gun at Becky and threatens to kill her. However, before she can take action, Becky throws a knife from a distance, hitting her in the forehead and killing her instantly. Becky takes advantage of the chaos and runs away. When Daryl discovers his mother dead, he becomes furious and starts chasing Becky, relentlessly shooting his gun at her. Becky eventually stops at a particular location, deep in thought. Daryl confronts her, proclaiming that her game is over and she has nowhere to go. He intends to kill her right there. However, as he takes a step forward, his foot gets caught in a trap, causing him immense pain. In the commotion, his second foot also gets trapped, and he loses control, falling down. His head becomes trapped in another trap, rendering him completely immobilized and severely injured, on the verge of death. Daryl taunts Becky, saying that she hasn't spared a big terrorist like him and that he knows her well. He acknowledges that she has set the trap skillfully. With these words, he dies. Afterward, Becky enters his house to release her dogs. To her surprise, Daryl's mother is still alive despite the head injury. Seeing her, Becky commands her dog to attack the woman, and the dog obeys, attacking and ultimately killing her. Impressed by her dog's actions, Becky praises him. After 24 hours have passed, the police become aware of the situation and apprehend Becky. She is brought before an officer who asks her how a 16-year-old managed to eliminate such a dangerous terrorist group single-handedly. Becky explains that she underwent rigorous training for this purpose. The officer offers her a deal, recognizing her bravery and skills. He proposes that she become an agent of the CIA, considering her instrumental role in thwarting the terrorist group and providing crucial information through the pen drive. Becky agrees to the offer and officially becomes an agent. Later, the film shows the companion of the old man who fled in the car, hiding in the forest. As he sits in the car, another vehicle stops nearby. To his surprise, Becky emerges from the car, fully transformed into an agent. She appears confident and ready for her next mission. The companion raises his gun to shoot her, but Becky uses her bomb gun and detonates a single shot, causing the car to explode in flames. The last companion dies in the explosion. Afterward, Becky looks directly at the camera before departing for her next adventure. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I always love hearing from my viewers, so feel free to leave a comment below with your thoughts on the video or any suggestions for future content. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.